Welcome to our February Renegade Con. I am so excited to be here with our newest team member, William. Just as a quick reminder, in case you forgot, I'm Rena Amaranthine. I am our community and crowdfunding manager. And William, what do you do here at Renegade now that you're here?
I do many things here at Renegade, but I have been brought on as Heroscape's community coordinator, which means among the many sort of art and illustration projects I do, I will also be working on Heroscape's organized play department, managing the Wardens of Valhalla, a kind of community outreach program that we have, and helping organize play to thrive for 2026, I hope.
Yeah, and some of our community probably recognizes you, right? They're
Yes.
cheering in the chat right now, I'm sure.
If you have seen any post from the user, the extremely talkative user Dandelions over the past like 5 years in Heroscape Online Spaces, that is me. I've definitely been patrolling these chats long before my sort of like involvement with Renegade began.
And we've got some organized play updates for 2026 and maybe a little bit of 2027.
We do indeed. I have to say, like, as a Heroscape fan, it's been really, really exciting to get to step into working with Renegade, and taking sort of all of these like wishes and hopes and dreams from the Heroscape community and what they want to see in their organized play, and then getting to work on actually like making those things a reality slowly but surely. Which has led to just a vast amount of organized play news and content that we have to share.
How exciting. So let's start with this coming spring. Winter's wrapping up. Spring's coming. What have we got?
Yeah, starting with some updates that we were expecting for the Battle Network going forward over 2026. The Battle Network has been kind of our de facto Heroscape tournament software, a sort of like slowly evolving program over the course of our 2 years using it. The Battle Network is planned for some pretty big functional updates that we'll talk about a little later in the year as we get closer to like implementing those. But in the meantime, something to put on players' radars is that starting in June 2026, we will start to see players being able to spend points that they earn in the Battle Network by participating in events, and they'll be able to spend those points on prizes that you can order through the Battle Network directly. There's a scheme of sort of extra rewards for participating in higher tier events like store championships or Valkyrie trials or events at Gen Con. The primary prize that we're looking at is players being able to order plastic army cards for their figures.
Ooh.
At events like World Championships last year, we started to see like plastic army cards that were a little bit more sturdy and root beer proof, that you could save for your collections. And so going forward, probably starting in June is our aim. Players will be able to order army cards for their individual like Heroscape heroes and squads, and get plastic versions of those that they can keep for their collection.
Okay, and what about competitive maps? I know that there's been a lot of buzz about maps lately.
Yeah. So one of the things that we also have as a resource at Renegade is a Heroscape organized play map pool. And when it comes to like what maps should we use in our highest of high tier tournaments, this is usually the pool of maps that we recommend people will pull from. So going forward, we kind of go throughout the year, expanding that map pool greatly with like a volume of high quality maps is definitely a priority, and then also kind of allowing a little bit more sorting for like what tier of play that you would like, and then being able to like filter through and only see maps that you are like, if you're trying to plan a Valkyrie trial, for instance, which is our regional championships, then you know, you only kind of find the creme de la creme in that section.
Yeah.
Part of that is that for the tournament organizer terrain kit, we'll be focusing on like adding a couple more sets of maps to our organized play map pool so that people can use that kit a little bit better and like have more options that are sort of endorsed by Renegade when it comes to being able to like use it at their events. For Adepticon 2026, we do have 5 new maps that Renegade commissions directly from map makers that are entering the pool. Plundered by Sheep uses 1 Age of Annihilation, 1 Battle for the Wellspring, 1 Lava Fields of Valhalla, and 1 Roads of Valhalla. Retribution by Flash 19 uses Lands of Valhalla, Caverns of Valhalla, and Ruins at Lore's Edge. Grand Temple Ashes by Shurig uses Age of Annihilation, Roads of Valhalla, and Caverns of Valhalla. Hacksaw by Dunedain uses Battle for the Wellspring, Rumble at the Rift, and Urban Landscapes of Valhalla. Road to Ruin by Ulysses uses Age of Annihilation, Roads of Valhalla, and Urban Landscapes of Valhalla. All of these maps can be found on our Organized Play resources page on our new Heroscape website that is kind of releasing in its first form right here at Renegade Con.
Yeah, and we have like an opportunity for more people to do map designing. Is that right?
Yes. One of the things that we're happy to announce here at Renegade Con is that we at Renegade have entered a partnership with a community-driven map builder called Hexoscape, which you can find at hexoscape.com. Hexoscape is in its open beta right now, and it is essentially being like developed and worked on every day as it continues to kind of like evolve and become like a more streamlined Heroscape map builder tool. But essentially, this is a program that is browser based that you can use to create Heroscape maps and Heroscape map instructions. In the one view, you have kind of this 3D render where you can actually see kind of your map in real like virtual space. And then it has like these export views where you can instead turn it into the like classic layer by layer like hex instructions that you see in Heroscape instruction books. This is definitely like an exciting option compared to many other like alternatives. So hopefully this will, as Hexoscape continues to kind of move through its beta and like get testing and feedback, hopefully it'll evolve into like a really, really useful tool for building your own maps or building easy map instructions. One of the things that we'd like to do to kind of promote Hexoscape for that is that we're going to open up kind of open submissions from the public. Use Hexoscape to build your map instructions and submit it, your maps to Renegade. These maps will be kind of like reviewed over a period of roughly 6 months. I think this will be more like an announcement at Renegade Con that we've reviewed the maps in the pool and then have kind of like come up with a couple new contenders to enter it. So it will be somewhat selective. Like not every map submitted to Renegade will be like taken into the organized play pool, but you can at least guarantee that the map that you've made will be like viewed directly by Renegade and kind of weighed for submission. For each of those periodical groups of maps that we take a look at and then approve a couple to the pool, there will be one winner that wins $50 of store credits to the Renegade web store.
Yeah, and I bet our wardens are going to have a lot of fun with the Hexoscape program. Speaking of.
Yeah, so we have a lot of updates for our Wardens program. If you haven't heard of the Wardens of Valhalla initiative that we have, this is essentially our way to partner with anyone who is trying to run a local Heroscape scene. If you're trying to get like Heroscape into your local game store, if you're trying to start up events, if you want there to be like a monthly Heroscape scene in your area, but there isn't one yet, becoming a warden allows you to kind of like work one-on-one with us and encounter this whole group of other people that are also doing that same thing. And we have a ton of resources that's basically brand new for this Renegade Con going forward to help support wardens and to make sure that their journey to running local Heroscape events is as smooth and like as supported by Renegade as it possibly can be. The first thing is that there is a new application form for wardens. It is no longer like sort of a elusive Google Drive link that you need to be shared to. Now you can apply directly from the new Heroscape.com website. There's a couple of links to it throughout our homepage and our organized play pages. So yeah, hopefully for anyone who is interested in like going beyond being a player at local Heroscape events, but wanting to actually start events and run them for yourself, yeah, the path forward is super easy. Just go to that form and then apply. One of the first things that once you apply to become a warden, and if you get approved, one of the first things that you'll receive is the Warden's Handbook. This is essentially a fairly lengthy and comprehensive document that takes you through all of the basics of running a Heroscape local like tournament scene. If you know nothing about like trying to run a Heroscape tournament and you're like, I don't have a game store figured out yet. I don't know how to get a store to carry product. I've never used the Battle Network yet. I've never run a Heroscape tournament. How do I do any of that? This document really answers every question and tries to give you an actionable path forward on every point. In a perfect world, this should be able to take you from not knowing anything about running Heroscape events to being ready to get started. And this is a essentially PDF document that all new wardens receive as soon as they sign up, or existing Wardens of Valhalla can find in our Discord and in our sort of like resource directories for the wardens. There's no better place to learn about Heroscape and learn about running Heroscape events and really like stepping into that world of trying to learn about like what Heroscape competitive play looks like than like by working with us one-on-one, and also by like being surrounded by other wardens who have been running events for 20 years. Beyond just like what I can offer responding to questions in the wardens chat, you know, it's incredible to me like how when people have a question about what sort of format to run for this monthly event, immediately there are other people in the community in the wardens chat who are able to respond from like 15 years, 20 years of experience running those events. So it's definitely helpful, not just to have sort of my ear as like working on the Wardens program, but also the support of your fellow Wardens and kind of their enthusiasm and their years of experience as well. If you've been a Warden for these past few months, you will find these things are kind of new and rolling forward into 2026. We have a new format of the month. This is essentially an example format sort of whipped up by one of our like format specialist consultants that if you don't know what sort of format you should run for your Heroscape tournaments, you don't know like what points are good to be or like what a figure limit is. The format of the month is essentially like a super easy example format that says, hey, if you don't know what else to run for your Heroscape events or you're not like super well acquainted with Heroscape, you can start with this and then branch onward to crafting your own formats. There's also a new initiative for wardens to like run demos and learn to play events at their local game stores, conventions, Barnes and Nobles, and so forth, where you can apply to have a battle box or other Heroscape products, depending on your request, compensated by Renegade. We are also separate from our kind of direct to Renegade map competition that we're running, which must use Hexoscape. We here in the Wardens program have this program called Map of the Month, where wardens can submit Heroscape maps that they have enjoyed for consideration into the like Renegade organized play map pool. Every single month, we take all of their like suggestions, we kind of filter it down with feedback from a couple of our map makers, and then we make that into like a list of 4 maps that wardens vote on every month. And the winning map from that, I reach out to that original map maker, letting them know that their map has been nominated for the organized play pool. And, you know, we essentially, if they allow us, we will add it to the organized play pool and kind of expand that pool 1 map a month at a time. And so that is kind of our second like way to expand that pool of officially endorsed maps, in addition to the map making competitions that we have going on with Hexoscape. Lastly, like there's still so much for wardens coming for this year. One of the complaints that the community has often had is that beyond the like promo kits that we send out of, you know, Heroscape figures that you can use as prizing or as attendance sort of perks at your Heroscape events, that there's not a ton of other prizing available for Heroscape. So for National Heroscape Day in October, we will be sending out sort of a prize support kit to all active wardens that contains a bunch of sort of shiny new objects that you can use to support your prize pools and support your events throughout the coming year. Let's see. Another thing that wardens will be able to do in 2026, alongside the kind of new warden applications, keep your eye out for a field in that application that asks you whether you would like to be on the Play Heroscape Near Me map. Previously, our sort of like world map of Heroscape has only included like store locations and the contact information for those stores. And then when you call into the store, you don't always reach someone who actually knows much about Heroscape at the front desk. Often, like, there is one community member locally who runs the Heroscape events in tandem with the store, but the store employee, doesn't necessarily have a direct through line to that person, or can't necessarily like route an interested person who just wants to attend Heroscape events onwards to that destination. So starting basically now, wardens that sign up with the new form will be able to optionally have their local community Discord or their contact information displayed on the Heroscape world map, so that a player who is like interested in Heroscape events in your area can just go to that map, see that there is a warden there, get in touch with that warden, and then find their way into your local Heroscape community a lot faster. And hopefully this just raises a big flag for your local Heroscape scenes that shows like, hey, there is an active player base here, and this is how to get in touch with them right as soon as that customer like checks on the Renegade website.
I love that. I love that we're making it even easier for people to get into Heroscape.
The last thing I'll say on wardens is
yeah.
you can if you are sometimes what's going to happen is that people will look up, are there local Heroscape events near me? And the answer is that like there might not be, or there might be, but they're an hour and a half away, and your local game store isn't into Heroscape yet, and you don't necessarily want to drive an hour and a half every time you attend tournaments, although I know many people that do. And so in that case, like, that is someone who absolutely should consider becoming a Warden of Valhalla, because you can come into essentially a community of people that are already running events, and we can coach you and walk you through as much as possible the steps of like setting up that local scene. It can seem intimidating at first to try and like get your local game store to carry Heroscape and to recruit local players and find new people to play this game with. These are also things that people have done around the country and beyond in order to like create their own local Heroscape scenes over the last 2 years, and many like years before, but especially with Heroscape organized play being this big force now that it is. So definitely encourage anyone who is interested in running Heroscape events to get out there and like see if this would be a path that interests you. One of the new stipulations also for the wardens is that as you go, we want to see people that are like actively trying to run Heroscape events, mostly being the body of this program. And so wardens going forward, there will be sort of this expectation that you are running at least 2 Heroscape events per quarter. Those don't always have to be like massive tournament events. Those could be learn to plays, those could be paint nights, those could be like running demos at a local board game cafe. But ideally we want to see that the entire group of wardens are all like people who are actively running events and continuing to like essentially push their local Heroscape scenes forward.
Yeah.
This is essentially information that we just have through the Battle Network, if you run events through the Battle Network, but we also have sort of like a backup form as well that people can report events directly through, especially for events that you don't want to run using the Battle Network, or you have a different system set up instead.
So we've talked about our wardens. We have talked about the new map making things that are coming up. We've got store championships still going, right?
We do have store championships, and the store championships that we have confirmed so far, there is already a huge list of them, which will show up here on screen. But store championship applications through 2026, this would be like the sort of April to June 2026 season when all of these championships must be run. Applications are still open until March 9th. So if you have Heroscape at your local game store and you would like a store championship this year, these are usually pretty big events. They come with a sort of like unique prize package that you can order. The like support kit for these this year features Crimson Widow, kind of the pirate commander from the Crimson Fleet. If you would like your local game store to run one of these and you haven't already had them apply yet, do have them apply on the Battle Network, kind of at the home page. You can find the link, or at playheroscape.renegadegamestudios.com/event-. recent survey. And once your local game store applies through their Battle Network account, we can get them approved over here, and you'll unlock the ability to like see these kits in your Battle Network's existing promo store and order them. Of course, the kind of the biggest prize out of these prize kits is that the winner gets a day 2 buy to Gen Con World Championships for 2026.
And then besides our store championships, we also have our Valkyrie trials, which are different. We've had some confusion about that.
We do. So the difference between store championships and Valkyrie trials is it's essentially our store championships versus our regional championships. Valkyrie trials are usually bigger events. There are way fewer of them. Last year we had over 100 store championships. There were only about 20 Valkyrie trials. And it's probably going to be a similar ratio this year. So there is a limited number of Valkyrie trials. Applications for the 2026 to 2027 Valkyrie trial season are now open as of Renegade Con. These events run from July 2026 to June 2027, and similar to store championships, these also grant a day 2 buy at Gen Con, allowing you to like jump over that first pool of players in day 1. The Valkyrie trial kits for this year kind of succeeding the fancy Leviathan themed Valkyrie trial kits of the previous season. These feature metallic based Sergeant Drake Alexander's along with alternate card art for him, and then Jandar themed order markers for all participants in the Valkyrie trial, and also for participants Katana of Thorian treasure glyphs that allow Sergeant Drake's like kind of iconic super speed katana to be wielded by your other Heroscape characters. So yeah, if you see a Valkyrie trial happening in your area, it's definitely worth turning out.
Go for it. And we've still got a couple more Valkyrie trials left for spring of 2026, so those will be on the screen now. Check out if any of them are near you. Check out if you can make it, even to just go and watch and like cheer and hang out. It's a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
And we've been talking a lot about the World Championships at Gen Con, so we should probably talk about Gen Con a little bit.
We should. Gen Con is kind of the biggest like single event that Renegade does every year. And especially where Heroscape organized play is concerned, like it is where a ton of the thought goes every year for planning. But Gen Con has a huge number of Heroscape events going this year. The first and foremost is the World Championships. This is a multi-day event. We'll take something like 150 to 200 players and narrow that down to about, really just your top 2 players vying for the title of World Champion. So it is one of my favorite events to be a part of at Gen Con. I've had the privilege of getting to judge it for the past year before, and like just seeing so many Heroscape fans all out together competing for the same event has been just such a cool thing to see.
We don't have just the World Championships at Gen Con, right? We've got a ton of stuff going on.
This is the thing. Gen Con this year is packed with sort of like unique side events in addition to the main World Championships thing. There are a lot of different event formats that are out there, and these are all like listed on Gen Con's event website. But some of my favorites from this like year's lineup include General Wars, which puts on you the stipulation that your whole army must be from one general. So you really get to choose your favorite and then try and build an army just with what they have to represent. And then Treasure Quest, where you collect the most treasure to win instead of your typical sort of deathmatch scenario. And I love anything that puts treasure glyphs on the field. Since they're shiny, they're gold, they have great art, and you don't always get to see them in normal tournament play. There's a War of the Worlds event that pits armies from different home worlds against each other, and assassination formats force you to eliminate one specific figure on the enemy team. And there are many more events in addition to the ones I'm listing here. I'm really excited to see a lot of different kind of like armies and a lot of creative problem solving from players that need to like participate in these events. I can't wait to see what armies people bring to tables for these. And I think it definitely is a much more kind of comprehensive and sort of flavorful offering of Heroscape events compared to our programming in prior years. I'm very thankful to like all of the community members that have consulted with us and kind of like worked with us to craft what hopefully is a really fun and compelling like list of events for people to attend while they're here at Gen Con. And definitely, especially if you're not here to like sit through multiple days of the World Championship, there will be a ton of exciting other stuff for you to do instead.
Most importantly, Are we having the bounty event again?
We are having the bounty event. You will have the option again to play against Heroscape staff members. There are some minor changes this year. We will all have sort of new superpowers for you to play against and sort of overpowered armies for you to tackle while you're in these matches. But in addition to that, we will also kind of open this up a little bit more. It was super popular last year at Gen Con and it sold out almost immediately. So we're aiming to like make it a little bit more accessible and make sure that more people get their chance to like play in one of these events this year. And then also, spoiler for Gen Con, we have a brand new Heroscape game mode themed around dungeon crawling that will also go live at Gen Con this year. It'll be sort of an exciting new way to play Heroscape, keeping all of Heroscape's like typical rules, but offering kind of a new, very fast-paced way to like string scenarios together and like go from room to room as you explore the Citadel. So we're excited to showcase more of that as the year goes on and let you get a chance to see it for yourself at Gen Con.
Yeah, I know. And I'm sure now that we've said it, everybody's going to be so excited. There's a million questions in the chat. We can't read them. It's not live. I'm sorry. But we can keep talking about what we have for the rest of 2026.
Our final big program is that we are running Heroscape Alliance War this year. This is a sort of brand new initiative for our organized play where Renegade Heroscape staff will be visiting your local game stores and Heroscape fan conventions around the country in person, kind of bringing the new like Alliance War featured in Secrets of the Citadel to your game stores and to your events. Secrets of the Citadel features 4 new sort of like tiny alliances that are all sort of competing against each other as they work to explore this massive underground citadel. And so Jandar and Utgar have formed, or Jandar and the remainder of Utgar's forces have formed the new alliance, kind of like trying to wrestle Valhalla under their arm with might and command.
Good luck to them.
Era. Ular and Tequila have found a lot of common ground on sort of protecting Valhalla's natural resources and trying to prevent these other 3 from sort of ignoring that in the age to come. Forming the Verdant Pact. Einar and Valorak have partnered like extreme wealth and extreme business acumen to form the Clockwork Combine, and Vidar and Revna are both kind of lurking in the shadows together in the Umbral Covenant. The Renegade staff that are showing up to these events will act as arbiters, giving each player at these events an option to choose their side and giving them a unique enamel pin for their faction of choice. They will also be giving out plastic army cards with a foil Alliance War stamp that let you choose between Sevarus, Agent Kar, Isamu, or Eel and Fafua. Kind of one promo figure that we have from each of those 4 factions. And so every player to these events gets your fancy enamel pin with your faction of choice and one of these 4 army cards. The winner of these events, whichever tournaments are run by the local community, every event will have kind of its own community's crafts and format, but the winner of this tournament will get one of everything and also the power to mark their region for their faction of choice on kind of a constantly updated world map. So throughout this year, you will see kind of a map of the US be transformed by these different wins for these different game stores as people kind of vie for power for their individual faction. The faction of these 4 that has the most wins overall by Renegade Con in October, we will craft a sort of epic and secret piece of merchandise for that faction, specifically based on like what the winners from those factions would like to see. That'll be kind of like a truly one-of-a-kind item that will only be available to order for a limited time. But for the faction that wins Alliance War, you will have some pretty epic spoils to show. And then lastly, as time goes on after that, we will continue to see that world map kind of evolve as it begins opening up to the public, allowing players at local game store events in general to kind of contribute their wins towards their faction of choice. So yeah, these are some of this is the Alliance War program, and I'm so excited to get to visit a lot of local game stores in the US throughout this year to play alongside players and sort of see what faction they choose to devote their mighty wins to. We're
coming up with new ways to pit you against your friends. That's That's incredible. So we've got a lot coming for Heroscape 2026, some of 2027. We've got a lot happening under your very watchful eye. I'm very excited. I know the Heroscapers are very excited. Do you have anything that you want to close out on?
Yeah, mostly that. Again, like this is going to be a huge year for Heroscape organized play. And if you have an interest in attending Heroscape events, maybe you are just watching this stream for the first time and realizing that there are organized Heroscape events, you can definitely look to the Battle Network to look up local events. You can also look to our like Renegade Discord server, and joining there will immediately put you in touch with a much broader Heroscape community. I definitely am able to be reached at william@renegadegames.com for any like outstanding questions you have about organized play, and I'm happy to direct you to resources from there. So yeah, I'm very excited as someone who has been playing in local Heroscape events for probably 2-3 years now, and have had to start local Heroscape scenes myself from scratch in multiple states and provinces. I'm very excited to like finally get to help other people kind of go along that journey as well.
Yeah. Well, with all of that, we are ready to wrap up this video and start heading to the next one for Renegade Con. Thank you to our mods in the chat for dropping all of the very relevant links exactly when they need to. And thank you again for joining us. And thank you, William, for joining our team and for being my friend.
Absolutely. Have a great Renegade Con, everybody.
Have a great Renegade Con. Goodbye.